back in the days. Don't be left behind. Join the new normal of digital world. Let radio and television be at your fingertips. Get news and current events, entertainment, sports, kiddies programs, and more at your beck and call on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Just visit and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on all social media platforms. Then you are a global citizen. Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Voice of the voiceless.
It is essential to be up to date on happenings around you, and to make that easy for you, ladies and gentlemen, we present Freshlight, where we bring fresh newspaper headlines to the limelight. Mondays to Saturdays, 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Watch, like, subscribe, and make sure your notification is activated on our YouTube channel. You can also like and comment on our pages on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. A beautiful morning to you wherever you are watching live on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. The 22nd day in the month of August 2023. Of course, it's a Tuesday, beautiful Tuesday morning right here, and I'm sure it is a beautiful one at the other side watching us on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Welcome to Freshlight on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. This is where we'll take you through different and prominent headlines in our datings this morning to see what is trending, and of course to keep you updated on happenings around you and of course outside the country. My name is MODUPE AKINYOSOYE, and I've got a couple of newspapers as usual with me this morning. I've got the D-Day newspaper, the Nation newspaper, the Vanguard newspaper, and the Punch newspaper. Without further ado, we kickstart with the Nation newspaper. Get to see some of the headlines on the front page of the Nation newspaper. We have this big headline that says, "How will we implement Tinubu's agenda by ministers?" We have that with double riders, and you get to see more of that on page 4 in the Nation newspaper. Away from that, Nigeria's net foreign reserves at $3.7 billion, says JP Morgan. You get that details, that business story on page 5 in the Nation newspaper. Away from that, what Fagbemi should do as AGF by legal giants. Page 16 to 21 captures, 31, I beg your pardon, captures the details of that story. And also from the front page of the Nation, FIRS steps up plan to prevent tax evasion by firms. Page 5 has the details. Osun staff audit stalled by Assembly's action. You also get that in the pages of the Nation newspaper. Vice President Shetima in Johannesburg for BRICS Summit. You also get it on page 6 in the Nation newspaper as well. From the front page, you get to see headline here says, Edo discomfort triggered by reform to end soon. Wike, I will restore Abuja master plan. And Umai said, I won't allow red tape to halt my plan. You get all of that from page 4 in the Nation newspaper. Also from the front page, 5 electrocuted, 4 hospitalized while erecting billboard. Page 5 captures the rather sad story this morning. Of course, you get to see pictures of the inauguration of some of the ministers designate that were inaugurated yesterday. And quickly going through the Nation newspaper, well, let's start with a story from the inauguration and the ministers kick-starting their ministries. How we will implement Tinubu's agenda by ministers with double riders. Cabinet members lay out priority areas. President demands performance and urges restoration of faith in government. Ministers got a presidential directive to perform and restore faith in government. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu spoke after 45 ministers took the oath of office, and the oath of office of allegiance before him at the State House Conference Center, Presidential Villa, Abuja yesterday. The ministers left the venue and hit the ground running by resuming at their various ministries. They also spoke on how they would actualize the renewed Hope agenda. Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Wale Edun, assured Nigerians on resumption at the Ministry of Finance that the discomfort as a result of the government's bold steps to reform the economy would soon be over. And coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Ali Pate, said it would prioritize health security and reduce medical tourism. You get the rest of what the ministers had to say, kickstarting work in their various ministries from the Nation newspaper with the headline, How We Will Implement Tinubu's Agenda by Ministers. Away from that, we also get to see the report, FIRS steps up plan to prevent tax evasion by firms. All shipping companies operating within Nigeria's territorial waters have been given December 31, 2023 deadline by the Federal Inland Revenue Service to settle any outstanding tax reforms. The deadline was contained in a public statement issued yesterday and signed by Executive Chairman, Federal Inland Revenue Service, Mohammed Nami. The order came after two previous statements issued by the FIRS in June and December 2021. The two earlier directives outlined the basis of taxation for international shipping lines and urged them to sort out their tax responsibilities within 3 months. FIRS steps up plan to prevent tax evasion by firms. The Nation newspaper also captures the very story. And this rather shocking revelation from the Nation newspaper, the business page as well. Nigeria's reserves is $3.7 billion, not $33.8 billion, says JP Morgan. The global financial service firm JP Morgan has estimated Nigeria's net foreign reserve to be around $3.7 billion, and the figure is far below the $33.8 billion as of August 17 on Central Bank of Nigeria's website. And JP Morgan's estimate is much lower than the net figure of $14 billion reported at the end of 2021. The bank disclosed this in its latest report on Nigeria titled Nigeria Reform Pulse Rather Than Fatigue, and it noted that a lower than reported forex reserve is the result of larger currency swaps and borrowings against the foreign reserve. The Nation newspaper captures that very story. Nigeria's reserve is $3.7 billion, not $33.8 billion, says JP Morgan. Away from the rather surprising revelation, we'll also have this very story from the Nation. Representatives promises capacity building boosts, and infrastructure. Member representing Eson North, East, Eson South East Federal Constituency in Edo State, in House of Representatives, Prince Odianosen Okoje has promised to build human capacity, job creation, and infrastructural development of his constituent. The lawmaker spoke when he hosted constituent and All Progressives Congress members at a Thanksgiving service and reception in Uromi, Eson North East local government. Rep promises capacity boost and infrastructure. The Nation captures that. Also from the Nation, we have the story that says residents sensitized to malaria control. Pest Control Association of Nigeria, PECAN, has sensitized residents of Federal Capital Territory to new ways to prevent breeding of mosquitoes. The association urged federal government to give attention to environmental management and pollution to control breeding of mosquitoes. And speaking at a roadwalk, National President Olakunle Williams said August 20 is set aside to mark World Mosquito Day. The rest of that in the Nation newspaper. Residents sensitized to malaria control. Away from the Nation newspaper, let's see what we have in the Punch newspaper. And of course, going through the front page of the Punch newspaper, let's see the couple of headlines. Abuja land. Federal government may revoke land allocations, demolish 6,000 buildings and slums. You get that with double riders on page 2 in the Punch newspaper. Away from that, federal government may raise $17 billion from oil asset sale. JP Morgan revealing that on page 19 in the Punch newspaper, also resurfacing in the Punch newspaper. Government to revive Ajaokuta Steel. Umahi plant road inspection. That's on page 20 in the Punch. Board chairman, MDs buy additional 145 billion naira bank shares. Also on page 19 in the Punch newspaper. Tinubu wants ministers against ethnic policies and appointees unveil agenda. Page 7 captures that, and of course you see with the large picture of the ministers designate that were inaugurated yesterday. And also from the front page, you see Ondo teenager confesses taking part in over 40 robberies. A rather shocking one on page 5 in the Punch newspaper. I want to reunite with Boko Haram husband, Chibok girl. Also revealing that on page 30 in the Punch newspaper. Also from the front page, Navy arrests 10 oil thieves with over 100 jerry cans. Page 4 has the details of the very story. And quickly perusing pages of the Punch, let's see a couple of the headlines that we had seen on the front page. We'll start with Abuja land. Federal government may revoke land allocations and demolish 6,000 buildings and slums. The federal government may demolish no fewer than 30 illegal settlements and slums and over 6,000 illegal buildings in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, as part of measures to restore the nation's capital's master plan. The Minister of Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, who dropped the hint on resuming office on Monday, said all illegal buildings distorting the Abuja master plan would be pulled down. And Wike vowed to flatten all illegal buildings, even if they belong to a minister or an ambassador, to whom it may concern. The rest of that very warning and story in the Punch newspaper. On Abuja land, federal government may revoke land allocations, demolish 6,000 buildings and slum. Away from that, we also have a story here from the Metro page that says, I want to reunite with Boko Haram husband, Chibok girl, revealing that report. Another Chibok girl, Mary Nkeki, 27, has been rescued by troops of Operation Adinkai Theater Command. Nkeki, who was rescued on Monday last week, said she was married to a repentant Boko Haram terrorist she identified as Adam. The Chibok girl was rescued by troops of the 81 Task Force Battalion at Dikwa during the operation into the terrorist enclave. And the theater commander, Operation Adinkai, Major General Gold Chibuise, told newsmen on Monday that Nkeki is number 55 on the list of the abducted Chibok girls. And while in captivity, she was forcibly married to one Adam, a Boko Haram terrorist. The rest of that in the Metro page of the Punch newspaper. I want to reunite with Boko Haram husband. That's not coming from me, coming from Chibok girl. Away from that, we also have a story right here from the Punch that says federal government vows to tackle food insecurity. The Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Abubakar Kyari, on Monday assumed office and vowed that the federal government will ensure that it feeds Nigerians and export food to earn foreign exchange for the country. He said these were the target of his team, stressing that Nigeria had the potential to achieve the set goals. And Kyari spoke at the headquarters of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security in Abuja during a brief reception organized by the ministry for him and the Minister of State, Aliyu Abdullahi. Federal government vows to tackle food insecurity. The Punch newspaper captured that story. Okay, quickly given these as well. Palliatives from the Punch. Soludo to give rise and 12,000 naira monthly to workers in Anambra. The Anambra State Governor, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, on Monday said about 59,000 persons made up of pensioners and public servants in the employment of Anambra State and 21 local government areas will be paid an additional 12,000 naira for the period of September to December 2023 to cushion the effect of the petroleum subsidy removal. And Soludo stated that his gesture is in addition to the 10% salary increase which the state has been paying since January 2023 as part of its foresighted response to the rising inflation. On palliatives, Soludo to give rise and 12,000 naira monthly to workers in Anambra from the Punch. We get back to more of the headlines after this short commercial break. So Freshlight on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Stay with us.
Thousands have been disappointed severally in their bid to seek greener pasture abroad. To those quack in the traveling agency business, it is a rocket science. That is not our case at Tausaf Travels and Tour. We have in-depth details on how to successfully, without stress, help you process and secure your visa to anywhere in the world. Do you want permanent residential visa, visiting and tourism visa, student visa to places like Europe, America, Asia, Africa? It's no big deal to us at Tausaf Travels and Tour. Our years of experience and expertise speaks volume for us. Let's process and secure visa for you to UK, USA, and Canada within a twinkle of an eye. We offer Hajj and Umrah services to our Muslim faithfuls. What are you waiting for? Consult us at number 9 Tausaf Central Mall, Sholanke Street, behind Laroy Hotel, Abiola Way, Abeokuta. 0802 733 0900 or 0806 578 4060. Stop wasting money. Pay for peace of mind. Talk to Tausaf Travels and Tour.
Gbogbo aláfẹ́ tó gbayì tó fẹ́ wọṣọ yìí ṣoge tó bágbàmú ló ń kọjá lọ sí House of Zion. House of Zion, the name I know when we talk of top-notch fashion, quality materials and class. House of Zion, lẹ́tí máa rójúlówó Turkey wears, Egypt and Malaysia clothing, Dubai, àwọn designer bags lóríṣiríṣi, àwọn ìtẹ̀lẹ̀ bàtà tó jiná tí wọ́n fawọ́ original ṣe, àwọn aago kájọ́ tó ń ka wákàtí ọjọ́, designer sunglasses and perfumes, pẹ̀lú àwọn gbogbo nǹkan tóbìnrin àsìkò fi ń gbafẹ́ lò gbà. Mo débẹ̀ ojú mi ń ṣe kámi, èmi ni ó rà, èmi ni ó mú. Gbogbo ẹ̀yin mùsùlùmí ẹlẹ́sìn tẹ́ gbòógè gbọ́n pa fashion tẹ́ wá nílò jàlábíà, hijab àti àbáyà lóríṣiríṣi. House of Zion lẹ́ò ti rí gbogbo ẹ̀ rà. House of Zion wà ní 52 Ọlọ́run ṣògo road adjacent Redeemed Church Agape Parish Ọlọ́run ṣògo Abẹ́òkúta. Lórí Instagram House of Zion 08165688618. House of Zion, ilé ìtajà tá a ti ń tojúlówó aṣọ àti nǹkan aṣaralóge tí ń gbéni níyì.
You're still on to Freshlight on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio, and still going through some of the headlines we have in our datings. We pick up the Vanguard newspaper quickly, and from the front page of the Vanguard, we have a couple of headlines. Tinubu to minister, serve Nigeria, not regions or states. We have that with several writers on page 5 in the Vanguard newspaper. 77 trillion naira debt may stall Tinubu's economic plan. Man, revealing that on page 19 in the Vanguard. Gunmen abduct 8 NYC members on way to camp in Sokoto. That rather sad one. On page 6 in the Vanguard. Our PDP governor sent 10 ministerial nominees to Tinubu. Wike also revealing that on page 8. Babies die as women deliver in toilets, says Benue IDP camp manager. That story on page 7 in the Vanguard. Men in army uniform robbed, killed my aide, Senator Adiola laments. And page 5 captures the details of that. And taking us to Niger from the front page as well, we are more likely to use force. ECOWAS revealing that on page 9 in the Vanguard. Agbakoba task new AGF on criminal justice system. That's on page 8 in the Vanguard newspaper. And you get to see, of course, the picture of the Tinubu and ministers after swearing in yesterday, the inauguration. And also you get to see Wike's picture with the president taking oath. That was yesterday, President Bola Tinubu and Mr. Nyesom Wike, right there on the front page of the Vanguard. Away from that, let's quickly go through the Vanguard and to give you a couple of stories from the Vanguard. We start with Tinubu talking to the ministers and says, serve Nigeria, not regions or state. Exactly 84 days after he assumed office power, President Bola Tinubu's cabinet took off yesterday with the president asking his 45 ministers to serve the country with integrity, dignity, and deliver in their different assignments instead of serving their state and regions. Speaking at the swearing-in ceremony of the 45 ministers at the State House Conference Center, Old Banquet Hall, Abuja, Tinubu said the country is currently battling daunting challenges, adding that the ministers must implement long overdue reforms and restore the citizenry's belief in government. Tinubu said the assignment before the ministers begins immediately and that they must meet the expectations of Nigerians. And he told the new cabinet members that they were ministers of the country and not ministers of a region or state. The rest of that you get in the Vanguard. Tinubu to ministers: serve Nigeria, not regions or state, from the Vanguard. And also 77 trillion naira debt may stall Tinubu's economic plan, says Man with a rider. Says debt profile up 410% in 8 years. The Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, MAN, has indicated that Nigeria's estimated 77 trillion naira debt burden would likely truncate the economic plans of President Tinubu-led regime. The manufacturers also lamented that the sector has been at the receiving end of Nigeria's debt crisis, which has seen the nation's debt profile rise by 410% over in the last 8 years. You get the rest of our analysis from Man in the Vanguard. 77 trillion naira debt may stall Tinubu's economic plan, says Man. And also, okay, we have the story from the Vanguard on Niger. We are more likely to use force. ECOWAS revealing that, says Chihani's 3 years plan to restate civil rule provoking the Economic Community of West African State. ECOWAS said yesterday it was more likely to use military force to restore constitutional order in Niger Republic if the military junta led by General Abdurrahman Chihani was hell-bent on his 3-year transition plan before returning the country to civil rule. And fielding questions on Channel Television's breakfast program, Sunrise Daily, ECOWAS Commissioner for Political Affairs, Peace and Security, Ambassador Abdel Fattah Musa, also dismissed insinuations that ECOWAS was acting under the influence of a foreign power. He explained that the community's chances of using military force to restore constitutional order in Niger were very, very likely. Niger, we are more likely to use force. ECOWAS revealing that. Quickly, running it up with the Nation newspaper, the This Day newspaper rather. Let's see if we can just go through the front page of the This Day newspaper before we call it today this morning. From the front page we have Tinubu to cabinet: you are appointed to serve Nigeria, not ethnic and regional interests. You have that with several writers on page 10 in the This Day. JP Morgan also revealing with $4.5 billion debt service, lower forex position, Nigeria requires sustained reforms to attract capital inflows. That with double riders on page 10 in the This Day. Shatima leaves for Johannesburg to represent Nigeria at BRICS Summit. Page 10 captures the details of that. Infrastructure ban. Femadec Group partner to boost gas power transport system. Page 5 has the details. Ministers assume office, set agenda and target. You also have that on page 5 in the This Day newspaper. And of course, you have the picture as well on the front page of the This Day newspaper, the newly inaugurated ministers that were inaugurated yesterday, the president and his cabinet. And of course, we draw the curtain right there on Freshlight on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Thank you so much. Don't forget to follow us on our social media platform if you have not done so. For more of our programs at Al-IyamoyeTv and radio, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course subscribe to our YouTube channel at Al-IyamoyeTv radio, and of course our website also for more information. I remain MODUPE AKINYOSOYE. Good morning.